Hello everybody and welcome back to another stream. It's been a while since we've done one of these, like 2 months I think, maybe more. I feel like it was December or something.
Yeah.
But both of us are here now, back in the living room, sorting some pieces today, which I think is the same thing we did last time. It's just getting really hard to fit these
I
into
streamed building.
Right. Where was I?
But that was
during
December
that?
31st. You were out of town. I don't know where you were.
I was, like I am always.
Yep.
But anyway, welcome. I need to be able to see chat here. I can only see the video.
And hopefully you can hear us. Welcome to Funbrick Creations, Retro Brick, Jack, Peter, Bill, and
Brick on Block.
Welcome to the stream.
We're just gonna give everyone from the Discord a little minute to get in here.
How was everyone's February? That's a good way to start.
Yes.
Also, for reference or for context, we are sorting large bricks, which is like 2x plus. So this can be real fun. Please don't go in there.
All right.
They can go here.
I can go here. And yours can go there.
Okay.
So yeah, how has everyone's February been? And I guess we also need to ask how everyone's January was been.
How was your January? And sorry for the audio.
Yeah, I guess so far how everyone's March has been, even though we only just started. But for us, March has been down. But February was really good.
Peter says best month yet sale-wise, only because I had one huge order. Very nice. Yeah, it is interesting when that one order like completely changes your entire month.
We did have a couple really big orders last month.
Did you?
Well, I guess our orders, what we consider a big order is, I guess, getting higher. So maybe more, I don't know, 1,000, 1,500 piece plus. I'm sure this is inaccurate, but it kind of feels like we get at least 1 or 2 of those a week now.
No way.
Of like
maybe
a whole bunch of bricks.
But like it's only like
a couple
18 lots.
Yeah.
And that's not really such a
It's not a chore to pick, but big in terms of bricks cost a lot of money. So.
Well, and this will be the first time after we process this, and we have about 80 pounds of bricks to go through. This will be the first time in like 4 months, I think, that we will have added large bricks to our inventory, which should be a good boost in sales.
These always are a pretty big sales generator when they go in. Brian Murphy says, I would love to do bee sorting. See if there are any BrickLink stores in your local area that are hiring. Or start your own. Or just sort. There are lots of people out there who just sort Lego as their hobby. It's a little strange, but more power to them.
Are you close to us?
Yeah.
We're
Are you close
County,
to Orange County, California? Funbrick Creation says, my December, January was building the Eiffel Tower in February and start of March, and I'm now building the Titanic. Plus I'm at 584 subs, so 16 to go to get to 600.
Nice.
Good job. Daddy-O Brick, also known as Bill, says, things have been good. March is a little sluggish to start, but we're only a couple days in. It is definitely pretty sluggish for us. Steve says, hello, strangers.
Hello.
Hello, stranger.
Welcome back. I guess we need to welcome ourselves back. It's just been so long.
Yes.
Yeah.
Welcome, Evan.
Welcome, Paul.
Thank you. Pup Kiwi likes getting orders that are a few hundred, but less than 20 lots.
Totally agree. I like any order that is like between 0 and 15 lots. That's like my ideal pick for an order. But like even 30 is like good, but they're usually so easy to pick, and I love this. Oh, no, correction. My absolute favorite orders are the ones that are a few $100s, and it's like 3 lots and 12 pieces. Those are the absolute best.
Yeah. The minifig ones are
those don't get
great. Fidel says, hola mi amigo de Jabbit B.
Hola.
Hello, Fidel.
Welcome back.
Brian Murphy, who's the one who asked for us to B-sort, says, I'm in Scotland.
That's close. We can make this work.
Yeah. I guess a little bit of overseas shipping. But if I ever visit CA, maybe I could sort some bricks for you.
That'd be fun.
I mean, we are a little flexible on range, but Scotland might be a bit of a drive. I don't think our vehicle insurance covers ferry.
We don't have vehicle insurance.
No, because Ivan and I are the only ones that drive. Dunder Mifflin says, "Hey yo, but it's been a hot minute."
It has
been a hot minute. Funbrick says, once I finish the Titanic, I have about 20 kilograms, that's about 44 pounds, of used to sort through and upload to my store, which I'll be able to make a few videos on.
Nice.
We have, how many pounds of used do we have to go through? Sitting over there?
Oh, over there, not much. But tomorrow I'm picking up 180 pounds.
Okay.
And then next week we have more coming. We'll probably by the end of this week have like 400 pounds to go through. Untouched, like we have to pull stuff. Like we haven't sorted it at all, which is always fun.
Pulling is where you find the real. I don't. If you're in our Discord, you saw that we found 200 Indian rupees in our most recent thing which we opened. So. Evan made the joke, oh, what if this pays for it? But unfortunately, rupees, that's about $2.54. So, unfortunately, it's not going to be paying for the bulk.
Bill says I like at least one lot in my order. Yeah, I did say between. I didn't say 0 to 5. I said between 0. So technically 0 wouldn't count, which would get
So now they're 5.
Well, I said 15. Yeah, I guess ideally my ideal order is 1 to 14 lots. If you're counting that other one. I don't know. I love those 0 lot orders. Those are great.
Do your lists start at 0 or 1? That's the important question here.
What like if I make a list?
Yeah. If you take an array of numbers,
of course it starts
do
at 1.
Do you iterate at 0 or 1? I feel like if we ask some of our other programming friends, they would disagree. People in chat, do you count from 0? Do you start at 0 or do you start at 1? Well, because in most programming languages...
Think of when you're counting on your fingers. You don't go 0, 1, 2, 3, 4.
You don't use your 0th finger?
I don't use my 0th finger. No. Dunder Mifflin Brick Code, because I had a good backlog of bricks, or I got a good backlog building up, then I got my tax bill for 2022. Backlog is now gone. Very nice. Brian said I collected coins. I love sorting coins by year, and then depending on them back in the bank. Interesting. That's pretty cool. Henry, welcome to the stream. And Charlie asks the age-old question, how do you increase the amount of sales that you get?
Add more pieces more quickly. Add more pieces and lots more quickly.
Yeah, increase your inventory size. Or lower your prices.
The largest deciding factor of whether or not you generate a sale is whether or not you have a specific piece that differentiates your store from every other store that's also in the Easy Buy function. Let me re-explain that using English.
Okay.
So, when your average BrickLink buyer who does not have a preferred store, so let's just say I'm Jerry and I want to buy some pieces, and I'm not going to go shop at my favorite store just to brick in the bucket because personally I really don't like them. Okay, I'm just going to go on BrickLink.com, make a wanted list of all of the pieces from my mock, and go use the Easy Buy function. What's going to happen is BrickLink is going to search through all the stores, and it's going to go based off of 2 things. The lowest price and whether or not the store has all the pieces I want. And then it's going to prioritize based off of those, which my understanding is the first qualifier is that it has all of the pieces. So if my order is mostly 1x1 bricks, everyone has 1x1 bricks, right? So that's only going to sort on cheapest. But if I also have 1 minifig in my lot, then the one store with that 1 minifig is going to get the sale. So the best way to increase your sales is to have a lot of the totally normal bricks that everyone has, which shouldn't be a problem, right? You should be able to stock that really easily. And then also just kind of throw random stuff that a lot of people don't have at your store and hope that some of it sticks and clicks people into the wand twist, right? Because everyone has Technic pins, but not everyone has this random hair. It might not even be a particularly rare hair. It's just the combination of those bricks and the hair is what generates the sale. So it's kind of a
diversity.
Yeah. Diversity is really the key thing. But you don't want to have a niche store where you only have hair, right? You want to cast your net as wide as possible and try and have as diverse and high piece count as possible. With probably diversity being like the number one, signifier, because although people will come in and buy 1,000 bricks, most people don't. They buy. Bricks might be a bad example, but most people only buy, max of 100 of a lot. But I would say, I don't actually know what our, average is per order per lot, but, it's not very big. So, the diversity is more important than the count, at least in my opinion. Other people might disagree, because you see those huge stores with 9 million pieces and 3,000 lots, and they do quite well, so. Henry says, are those trays from IKEA? No, these trays are from Target, right?
Target.
Yeah, Target, sorry.
Target. Yeah, they're like, you get, I think these bigger ones, you get like 2 of them for $1, something like that. And then we have some ones that are like half this size, you get like 4 for $1, and then some ones that are like a 1/6 of this size, you get like 5 for $1, something like that. They're on the end caps in Target. I don't even know if they still sell them, actually. We bought them a long time ago. We bought way too many, but now we have them, so.
And there are still some out with the missing contractors.
We're just down to 1 missing contractor. We have retrieved everything else.
Is this the one that we were actually super hopeful about, too?
This is, yes.
Yeah. They never steal it. It's just, it goes in a closet, and then,
well, no.
A couple months later, we get a text saying, hey.
Exactly. This one partially was me not following up, because I did reach out once, and then he was like, oh, yeah, I'm so sorry, whatever, I can bring it back, when's best? And then I said, oh, no rush, or no, he was something like, I'm on vacation this week, but I can do next week, when is best for you, or something like that. And I was like, oh, no rush, no problem, whatever, just let me know when you're back in town and we can set it up. And then he never let me, and then I also never followed up with him. I'm sure if I text him, he'll bring it back eventually, but yeah, we've never had anyone who seemingly had the intention to steal.
What is the weirdest thing you found in Lego you have sourced? I'll be right back.
You know what it is?
I do, and I have it.
Is it?
Oh, there's all of these things. But
so we have a small collection of fun things that are over there that we pull out that get sat on the mantle.
I have some new prizes. This lot here.
It's gonna be hard to hear Paul, to be real echoey, but if you listen carefully, he'll yell at you.
I'll just come over.
Okay, he'll come over. But we just opened up a box this morning. We actually moved it. It was on this table here, and we moved it to over there. And I was like, I just want to open this. So I just opened the top. We didn't even start digging through anything. And this is by far the most entertaining box we've ever received. I don't know what you have right now.
So first up, I've got some cash.
Okay.
Okay, I've got 200 Indian rupees going for auction now. $6 for some Indian rupees, worth about $2.54. But I'll sign them with my Mace Windu pen.
Oh yeah.
Which works, by the way. Someone's gonna get mad at me for doing this, but
why did you do that?
I now have a sign. Emily, would you like to sign?
No,
I was
gonna bring that to the place.
A signed rupee, and I'm pretty sure the currency exchange fees would be more than that. So yeah, Mace Windu pen. And don't worry, this was not open.
Bubbles.
Before we tested it. It was sealed.
You're not gonna be able to get the stick out, the wand.
Oh right. We had
to use tweezers.
But
so they
bubbles.
design, and it makes perfect sense, but I didn't realize this until today. They design bubbles for kids, and my fingers can't fit in the jar to pull out the little wand to blow bubbles. But we did get it. But the bubbles didn't blow very well.
It was very.
It was really sad. Yeah. That was just today's find, though. I'm sure we found worse things.
Oh, we found worse.
Or better.
But
depending how you look at it.
I mean, there's always like just the weird objects that aren't really like gum, sticky things.
Oh yeah,
you know,
that's the worst. Is like you touch something and it's sticky, and I just like freak out and run to the sink.
Or
Like,
you don't know what it is that you've just touched because it all looks normal, but something was sticky.
Yeah.
Oily too. Like there's a lot of thick gelatinous lubricated bricks that we come across. Demonetized. And then there's our Hall of Fame.
We're not gonna be able to get those close enough to the camera to see though. But those are great. They're like off-brand Lego, and they're just like minifigs, and they're just creepy as like creepy. This is a Duplo monkey. We love
this is
guy.
real. Yeah.
That's just good. But yeah, there's
We've got some off-brand friends here. We have house cleaners that come by, and I'm sure they see this stuff and they're like, "What the heck?" We've got a toad here from Mario that also has some additional non-Lego features on it, and we've got some other like stuff over here that I don't want to knock over. But
oh yeah, those are cool actually.
We've got some
buildable glasses.
Yeah, that aren't real.
But you could still build them.
Yeah.
Like I can build you something.
Just gonna block over the eyes.
I wasn't going to, but I could. Yeah.
But occasionally we find some pretty fun stuff.
The downside of these glasses, I suppose, is that Lego doesn't actually quite fit to them.
Steve says, minifig heads. Lots of sellers can't be bothered identifying and adding them, like us. They are a good wanted list jump. We'll do it eventually. But they just pile up.
There you go.
Charlie says, thank you for your response. My store has just started, and after about a month I have 6 sales, and I'm wondering how to get more.
Yeah, so it really depends on the size of your store and all that kind of stuff.
I would, once again, this number has probably changed as the market has changed, but for us, I think it was like 65,000 pieces, and I don't know how many lots when we started getting a daily order.
Yeah.
Somewhere around there.
It was a couple months into our thing, and we think, what did you say lot count?
65,000.
Lots?
No,
pieces.
Pieces. I don't know.
I think the lots were like 3,500 or somewhere around that 3,000 mark, and we were doing only new at the time. So we had quantity for each lot. I don't know exactly what used would be if you start with used. I say we put it in there, we do it later.
I agree. Not on stream.
Once we get to the colors, I think we just separate them there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We're gonna need to.
I'm gonna figure that out right now. Yeah.
All right, I will keep up with chat here.
Okay.
Hello, Cynthia.
Welcome.
I'm sorry. Please don't take this as an insult, but every time I see you, I think of you as the washing machine lady because you were the one that gave us advice on how to correctly wash pieces in a washing machine.
That's a good thing. That's not a bad.
Yeah.
I need another bin.
Henry says IKEA has something similar to these white things. The IKEA ones are $2 per. That is a bit. I have no idea how much these were.
No, I said it like 5 minutes ago. It was like 2 of these for $1.
Oh, well, why would you go to IKEA then? Meatballs. Zach.
I've never had any food from IKEA.
I did once when I worked at the school. We went on a field trip to IKEA. For context, I worked in special education, and sometimes we would take the kids out, like, I guess for social skills training would probably be the best thing. Like, you know, there would be some stores that would allow us to check out, right? And IKEA was one of them. I don't know why, a furniture store. It seems like a Safeway or something would make more sense. We went to the little IKEA cafe thing, and I had IKEA food for the first time. And honestly, it was not bad. I don't know if I would go there regularly,
probably
but
not,
yeah, very cheap though.
Oh really?
Yeah, it was like $1.99 for a whole plate of Swedish meatballs.
Unfortunately, IKEA's not really close to us.
Yeah.
Like 20 minutes away. Which maybe is close, but...
Thunder MF1 Brick says, I found some pre-chewed food.
Oh.
Used Band-Aids. I found a couple of those.
Oh yeah, those are bad.
Some type of uncured silicone. I'm hoping there are some things I never find. Yeah. Yeah. Sunita says, hi guys, how's you? How's you? Sunita, we are good. Ben T is here. Hello, Ben. But I'm sure over the years there has been some other things that we've found. And there's also all of the junk. So when we give stuff out to A sorters, to A sort, they're supposed to return all the stuff that they throw out in bags so we can weight check. But I'm sure that there are some things that are just so disgusting that they've gone immediately into the trash can.
Yeah, so our main ace sorter, occasionally, she always mentions, she's like, so I had this small pile of what what'd she call it? Ooey gooey. Ooey gooey or oopy goopy or something. And so she finally was just like, I don't feel like I should put this in a bag and return this to you. I was like, that is totally fine. Yeah, that's the gross stuff, like, yeah. We try to pull out the majority of the trash and stuff when we do our pull so that they don't get that, but they get it sometimes.
Alright, I'm going to remove these for now just because I think someone who's new to the channel is probably going to... we don't get new viewers. Never mind. But I'm going to put these away anyway with my Mace Windu pen and my rupees. I found pre-chewed dry food. Oh, I like that. Did the food come flat packed and you had to make it yourself? I'm sorry, Mr. T. I'm a little confused as to what you mean. Ben loves the glasses. Alright, anything for Ben.
I think we're talking about... Wait, honestly, I haven't read chat. You've just been reading it, and you've been doing a really bad job of explaining what's actually going on. So anyone who's not reading along with chat and just trying to listen, you'll be lost, like me.
Oh, IKEA food.
Oh, did it come flat? Oh, okay.
No. It's like a cafe where you walk up with like a plate.
I'm sure he knows. That's got to be a joke.
Well, you never know. I don't know if IKEA is in every country. You never know where viewers are from.
He knows that everything from IKEA comes flat packed and you put it together.
You know, for some reason in my mind, the word flat packed was changing to vacuum sealed, like dried food. I don't know what was going on there, but yes, that makes perfect sense.
Yeah, everything comes and you have to assemble it.
Yes. Oh no, did I just...
Oh, I did. You ruined it.
I did.
That's this one.
I mean, why'd you have to go and make it all complicated?
I didn't do anything.
Fun Brick Creation says, if you have a part that you're not sure what it is, do you have a tip to find in a brick store? BrickLink. Haven't actually used it myself yet.
At all?
I haven't, no. Knowing the keywords
Ever?
No, I've never used it.
What?
Yeah. I add now. The only time I catalog now is pull, and honestly, for the torsos and stuff, it's faster because I just know the keywords.
Yeah, that's true. We don't actually do a lot of cataloging in-house anymore. Almost all of it's out now.
Yeah. The only thing I catalog now is super expensive pieces, and because there's so few things that I catalog now, I kind of just know it. So BrickLink is like a AI software. Well, it's a web app that you can upload photos to, and it will process, and it's apparently pretty good. I can't speak to it.
It is pretty good.
Alternatively, learn your brick store.
Correction, it's very good. Very good. Yeah, okay. It's actually like impressively really good.
Alternatively, you can learn kind of the keyword interface for brick store. So if you put a space between...
We have a brick store quick tip on this.
Yes. Okay.
It's how to add more parts more efficiently or something
Should I still explain it?
Yeah.
Okay. So every time you have a space in the search bar, it searches each term individually. The order doesn't matter. What this means is you can only type partial words. So, for example, if I had bar as a bad one, but let's just say I was really lazy, I could just type BA. So BA space, right? Or this really is for like searching torsos. So like if I want, so I can do quotes, quotes black, so spell out the word black, space, HA, end quotes, and that will be black hand. You can do like, dang it, studs, right? If you're looking for something like with studs on the side. Snot occasionally is like a keyword. There's lots of little partial word strings that you can string together with spaces to kind of narrow down your search. Color lock is another big one, and knowing where something is likely to be in the categories. Sometimes the categories aren't super intuitive, but just kind of getting a general idea that this piece looks kind of like something else. And the more you do it with practice, the more keywords you'll memorize. And it's not something that I could recite all of them because I just failed, but it's like I'm looking at this piece and then I just immediately know, oh, okay, this piece corresponds to these keywords.
Well, when you were doing Bionicle stuff, you knew some of the part numbers, like
I did.
X01 or whatever. Like
I've forgotten it now.
Yeah.
But if basically my motto is if I spend more than like 5 minutes looking for a piece, well, one, unless I'm sure that the piece is worth it, I'll usually give up. Because if I spend more than 5 minutes looking for a piece, it's probably not worth it.
Sorry. Our microphone situation is a little effed up today.
If I'm really curious or I think it is worth it, when I finally find it, I will stare at that number until I memorize it. At least for a little bit. I usually forget them because, like I said, I don't do much cataloging anymore. But back when I used to, I had a short list of memorized part numbers because I knew I was never going to remember what the name of this piece was. So I just would memorize the part numbers. And that worked for a lot of the older Bionicle and Hero Factory stuff because they have those weird, like, X... I think it was X259 or something like that. It's the little diagonal arm piece with the slots on the side.
I'm curious if you're right.
I'm probably not. Maybe it's 306? I don't know. What size bricks are large bricks? Looks like 2x2 and bigger. Yep, that's correct. 2x2 and bigger. Sunita says, do you guys still sell new pieces? We do sell them, we just don't upload them. So slowly they're disappearing.
Yeah, our plan is when we move out to get back into new. But currently our pipeline kind of only allows for used, and we've run out of space in the inventory to do new. Since new is such high quantities of things, if you do it the way we would do it. So we definitely 100% have the intention to go back into it. We just have not got there yet.
Then Myth1 Brickco says, it's amazing. This is in reference to BrickLink. I just found the Chrome extension to use a webcam on your browser. I've set it up as a backup, and it's much faster than having to guess the keywords for a part or using my phone. Definitely. Fun Brick Creations. True, I totally forgot about the store tip videos. Thanks for the answer. Peter says, I finally cataloged all my Bionicle backlog using BrickLink. It would be very good for that. Those are tough pieces.
Yeah.
Fun Creations is talking about the color lock.
Color lock is great.
Color lock is fantastic.
Unless you're accidentally color locked and then you're confused as to why pieces won't show up for 5 minutes.
Yeah. Steve Back Tank says, minusing out a search term on Brickstore. Mm-hmm. That is a huge one.
Yeah, like minus pat or minus stick.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Or if you're searching for a male head using minus female. Actually, you could probably shorten that down to minus FE. Do you find sales are better with new or used Lego? Used, but that's also because our store has just grown so much. So honestly, if we had a store of comparable size new, well, if we had a store of exactly the same lot and piece count that we do new, I'm sure that the sales would be way higher. But that would be really hard to do.
Yeah.
I don't actually know if that would be possible to do.
Yeah, to have 20,000 plus lots of all new pieces, I think is just really difficult. Just because there's so much overlap in everything you buy when you buy sets and stuff. So you'd have to be buying a lot of like old sets somehow. But it's probably possible, but I would think, unless you're pricing ridiculously high, pieces would sell almost more quickly than you can get them in the inventory. If you're trying to go for that high of a lot count. I'll take them. Or not.
No.
I think it seems like there's not a lot of really big stores that do both. And maybe there's a reason for that. But what are you laughing at?
I was laughing at myself. I just looked at my glasses for the first time.
Oh, really?
Yep.
That's great. Yeah, I love them. I think they look good.
Should this just be my normal video outfit now?
Yeah, always.
Can we bring it on Brickside Chat?
Maybe. I don't even remember what I was saying anymore.
I do that very well.
Yeah, okay. Oh, there's not a lot of big stores that do both new and used that we've seen. And it could be because it's just really difficult and it's not worth the time to do both, or it's just not profitable. But I intend to be a store that is big that does both.
You intend?
Well, it's my intention that we have a store that does that. I don't know if it's your intention to have a big store that does both. I know you're more on the you like the used for sure.
Yeah, but I that's only because we have a pipeline for it, and I don't want to throw away this pipeline.
Well,
so
no,
if we're doing both, then it's
yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
I don't have any issue with no. Now the thing is, based off of our survey data, which is not the most robust, most people are willing to buy used.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you are getting additional market penetration, but I figure it's more in the sense of having more chance of having a specific piece in either than you are necessarily people who are just going to buy it only new. There are definitely people like that. But I think it's a significant but not huge percentage.
I think a lot of people understand that if they want a certain piece, they have to buy new or buy used, which is why they end up being fine with having a mix of both things. Just because, like, there's not an option if they want certain parts. All right, I will read some chat here.
Yeah,
it's been so long.
This is my first thing stuff. So
yeah, I mean,
is it actually? I feel like I jumped once already.
Where'd you leave off?
Do you find sales are better with new or used from Brian Murphy?
Okay, so Nita says, what's the app called for Lego parts? So if you're talking about an application on a computer where like a spreadsheet type thing, that is BrickStore. If you're talking about the one on the phone that takes photos and recognizes minifigs, that is BrickMonkey. If you're talking about the one we just talked about, which is a web-based application that takes photos and recognizes parts, that's BrickIgnize. Yep.
Is this still the first spin? No.
I poured the rest of the first spin into there, but
okay.
That's mostly what this is. But we already have those two things like chilling. I think we'll end up with more than a full bin of just 2x4s.
That's what happened last time.
Is it more than a full bin?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Dunder Mifflin says, you would have to part out retired sealed sets. Lego can only manufacture so many molded ones. Exactly. And that's, I think, why it's like a really big ask to have a store that has 20,000 pieces or something that are all in new condition, unless your prices are just astronomically high.
There's Also, the fact that something we've learned as we've grown is the intellectual property value of having a reliable supply chain, right? And being able to consistently supply stuff and having your contacts that get you stuff. And if you switch to new, you can't, I'm sure you can. It feels like it would be really tough to supply a multi-100,000 part store, close to 1 million part store using only Walmart and Target. You probably have to buy direct, or find someone who can get you pieces in bulk. And then now you're managing two completely separate supply chains that don't really have a lot of overlap, would be my assumption. And so, you don't just have to have the pipeline of actually uploading the stuff. You also now have to manage your two sourcing pipelines, and both obviously want money. So you have to make a call there as to where you're going to spend all of your time networking and talking to people.
Yeah, I think once you get big enough like that, though, you're probably aimed in that direction, like you said, of sourcing directly with someone, whether that's Lego themselves or a wholesaler or something.
Yeah.
I don't think, maybe some stores can go off of
You'd have to hire
Walmart clearance, but you what?
Yeah, I'm sure you'd have to hire people to go to Walmart.
Oh,
There's no way.
Yeah, no, you have a staff for sure. But it's much easier if you could just find a supplier of some sort, like a wholesaler or something that would be able to bring parts. Ideally, we figure that out in the next few years.
Yeah.
We'll see. But obviously, we have sourcing now, which we've had an issue with sourcing. That's why, like, this week we're going to get about 400 pounds of stuff in. But, like, next week we probably won't get any. And before this past week, we went, we had to tell all of our ACE orders no for about a month, just because we didn't have source. Like, we just didn't have enough stuff. Like, we had a bin or two that we could fill up, but it wasn't like, usually it's like 4 bins at a time or something. And now with our roughly 300 to 400 pounds of whatever's coming in, we'll have, 12 to 16 bins that are available. So that'll last a couple months, or a month, well, we'll see. That'll last maybe a month and a half or so, depending how quickly they want to go through the ACE sort. But we don't want to run into a problem like we had within the past month and a half or so where we didn't have anything for them, so we'll still have to buy. But we definitely had, sourcing has been a problem for us, I would say, pretty consistently all the way since we started kind of scaling up back in March of last year with you, unless you disagree. It just feels like it's been this up and down roller coaster.
It is very much up and down, and I think that's, well, since we started sourcing our own, we used to have a guy.
Oh, right. That was last year, though.
Yeah.
That was before we did our big contractor expansion.
Yeah, that is true. Looking back at it, honestly, maybe it was worth it. I don't know. I mean, there was a complication which made it not worth it, but yeah, the issue was all the figs were pulled, which we knew. There was no dishonesty there. But there were other complications that made it tough, and we ended up having to drop the supplier. But it was very nice just to always consistently every week meet up at a spot and get a predetermined quantity of pieces that had almost no non-Lego, but also all the valuable stuff had been pulled. So it was kind of split. But since we started doing it on our own. No, David. David asks, are there any fun plans in about 10 days? No, our life is going to get a whole lot worse in about 10 days.
Yeah, since we've been sourcing on our own, it's gotten more challenging just because of the inconsistency. Which obviously is kind of a budgetary type thing, not monetary, but like budgetary in terms.
You have a big.
Yeah, I can take that. But budgetary one, you need to like almost budget your allotment. Like if we get 400 this week, maybe we shouldn't give out all 400. We should space it out. But then we sit on that fact of like, well, we already paid for it, so now why aren't we paying to get it processed and just get that in the inventory? So it's this weird like balance that we can never quite figure out the true answer to that. So
Dunder Mifflin wants to know if David has gotten any more 400,000 part orders. I would also, if you have any additional details that you can share publicly, I would like to know if anything happened with that. Like, did you ever reach out to... I guess I can share the premise, because the premise was posted in general. So sorry, David, if you wanted to keep that confidential. You shouldn't have posted in a chat with 600 people.
I don't think you did want to keep it confidential.
No, someone bought, like, David's store as a fraudulent order. I don't know why, but David, did you ever find a motive or escalate that up to BrickLink? I just cancel it. David says, I just cancel it 30 minutes later. The Technic buyer also now has a negative feedback.
With the Technic pins?
We've never gotten...
Knock on something.
Yeah.
No, we have not.
David says it was 90% chance a consolidator. I don't want to wade into that, but that's a cool word.
Are you a consolidator?
Consolidator, yeah.
Oh, consolidator?
Yeah, consolidator.
Oh, consolidator.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. That is good.
What were you gonna say, though? About whether we've ever gotten anything like that? I mean, never on that scale.
Yeah, I mean, we get those orders where someone places an order and they don't pay for it, but never. Oh, I was wondering, like, because David said the guy reached your lot limit of 1,000. Did you think of lowering your lot limit or anything? Because 1,000 lots.
We should lower our lot limit, because the thing is, if someone wanted to buy more than that, they could email us, and we could raise it temporarily to allow them to place a giant order.
But they probably wouldn't email us, because it's not going to
That's
show up on the
true.
wanted list. But rarely do we get anything that's like
1,000
really,
lots.
We've never had 1,000 lots, ever. Like we
Yeah.
for sure have not had.
I mean,
that.
there's only a couple sets that exist
Yeah,
that have
that are
1,000 lots.
Yeah.
Here's my question, though. BrickLink has so many hard limits at 1,000 because the system just can't handle it. Do you think you could pick a 1,000 lot order?
On BrickLink?
Yeah.
Yes, because the pick sheets are, or not the pick sheet, whatever the order page is like a static. Which because
Yeah.
it's essentially a PDF.
Do you think you could place 1,000 lot? Oh, obviously someone
I mean,
could.
someone did, yeah. I don't know. It's great how when you try to upload something with Brickstore, though, or update prices or something, it just like gives up. I love that. That's great. Oh! Even I went to go not to part out a set, but to go look at parting out a set. And I think it was Diagon Alley or something. And on BrickLink itself, a note on the set said, when parting this out, you need to do this in 2 batches because BrickLink can't handle the amount of lot. Like their own system just blatantly said, we can't do it. Which is great. Dave says, gotta go to Hibachi with the fam. Have a good sort. Nice. Henry says it was someone from Reddit. They posted his store as actually? Store as a non-consolidated. The next day, he got those orders.
Huh.
Whoa.
I don't go on... I wonder how often we've been mentioned on the BrickLink subreddit, if we ever have.
I don't know. Sounds like David's got haters out there, though.
Yeah.
I'm sure we do, too.
I've never been on the BrickLink subreddit before.
I guarantee people hate us.
If you hate us...
I hope I'm hated.
If you hate us, please leave a comment saying that you love us down below. And if you love us, please leave a comment saying you hate us. Only real lovers of our channel will say they hate us. Will do.
Will do.
Oh, I think that was a response. Okay, that was a response to David saying something.
Dang it. It gets really hard when you get down to a small file for some reason. Like, just visually, it's so difficult.
I try to avoid doing the small piles.
Yeah. Pup Kiwi says it had a 500 plus lot order. Yeah, I feel like the biggest one we had was like 600. Maybe I'm not correct on that, but that kind of feels like what I'm thinking.
What is the
but like so rare, like a couple times a year, I think.
What is the biggest canceled order that we've ever had? I feel like we would remember.
Yeah, I don't think they've been massive in any way. Like,
no. There was one order
that was big.
Yeah, it was. I don't know if this person still watches the channel. There was an order that was placed by I think it was a viewer of the channel who ended up. I feel like it was a younger viewer of the channel. Do you remember this? And they just kind of ghosted.
Kind of.
So
yeah, I have an idea.
Do remember
I don't
that.
want to say anything,
yeah.
But I have an idea of what you're talking about.
I am kind of surprised that there is no. I guess I don't know how you would even implement that. Some kind of a way to prevent those fraudulent or high cancellation rate orders, but there is no way that you could do it without preventing people from placing orders. So.
Well, and the thing is, like, when they get, if it's a new user, like, you can make it so you can't place an order in a store if you're a brand new user. Like, that's a setting. If you have no feedback, you can't order. But if they just go get one feedback, now they could ruin your whole store. And that one feedback could be a $10 purchase. That's the issue. There's no way to like regulate like a size of an order that. And then it really sucks for those people who maybe just found out about BrickLink, want to make a big order. You know what I mean? And like can't now because they don't have enough feedback, and now they have to go spend $100 at other stores before they can place the order they actually want. It kind of would push people away, I think, from even buying it all.
Yeah.
Like normal users.
How do you categorize tall bricks like 2x2x3 and 1x1x5?
2x2x3. So that's this one. That goes in large bricks because the stud dimension is still 2x2. Just like there's a 2x4x2 or 2x4x3 that I just stuck over there. 1x1, even if they're 5 tall or whatever, or 1x1x3, that's considered a small brick because it's the stud dimension of 1x1, which is our small brick category. And then 1x2. Or 1x(n), like 1 by any length above 1x1 is so 1x2 plus is our medium, and that's the same thing. If it's a 1x6x5, that would be our medium brick. But if it's a 1x6x5 panel, that's a modified plate or modified tile. That's not a brick. I don't know if that was confusing at all, but that maybe answered your question.
We have a little chart that we can.
Yeah, we have a paper. You want another pour? Yeah?
Yeah. Give me another shot.
You want more than that?
Yeah. Sorry, I'm just watching myself in the glasses. I should start wearing these in my normal day. Normal life.
Sure. You put these in your big section.
Jan, I'm not gonna try on that last name. I'm sorry. Jan says I think about selling the parts section of my BrickLink store. I have around 35,000 new pieces worth about $5K. Around what price point should I negotiate?
So if you're looking to sell it to someone who just collects pieces, you can probably get about 50 to 60% of the value, I'd say. That's on the high end. If you're looking to sell it to someone who is a seller, that'll be entirely dependent on what they feel like they can spend. But for us, if we were to buy it, it'd be between the 30 to 40% range. And
that also what plays into that is how far away you are and how organized it is.
Right. If it's easy for us to, put into our inventory, then we're fine. If it's a real pain because, your store is set up in a weird way or something, or maybe it's not organized with like remarks or at all or something, then we wouldn't go with that. It also depends how, like, what ratio of pieces you have that we currently have versus, like, oh, maybe every single piece you have we don't have yet, which would add new lots, which is a little more valuable to us than just bulking up our quantity. So there's a lot of things that would be in play there. But I would say you should not expect to get more than like 50 to 60% of the value if you're trying to sell it all as one big thing.
But being more realistic, you're probably going to get closer to 30. Unless you want to go the extra mile and hunt down people to try to sell to, like collectors, right? And cooperate with them. But if you're looking to get it offloaded quickly to a seller, it's going to be closer to 30% plus shipping. So.
And that's generally where we begin negotiations if people reach out to us for the store. Obviously, if we're interested at all based on their content of their inventory, but yeah, it's in that 30% range is what it makes sense for us to buy, because it still takes a lot of labor for us to get it into the inventory. And then a lot of it still sits forever, and then etc. And you still have your picking costs and all that. You did it again.
I did.
It's not hard. It's easy.
It's really hard.
Ben says rain. No.
No. Although we haven't seen her in a while. Although she does sometimes just randomly.
Yeah, she just pops up occasionally. I've only been selling on BrickLink for about 8 months and never had an order canceled yet. That's good. That's good. Yeah, and most of the time we don't have like orders canceled. Yeah, I'd say it maybe happens once a month, like on average. Sometimes it happens twice in a week, and then we don't see it for at least a month or something. But I think it's majority like someone buys 5 pieces and then you invoice them, and it's an international thing. It's almost always international, and they then don't like the shipping costs, and they reach out and they're like, "Hey, I didn't realize it was going to cost this much. Can we cancel the order?" Technically, they like agreed to placing the order and they're going to pay for whatever the shipping cost is, but we just say, "Okay, sure, not a problem." There is a function for that to get a quote. You can also email us, but like
there's unfortunately also, and I never know, not to be mean to young people, because there are a lot of very intelligent and very professional young people in the Lego community, but I do notice sometimes you get someone who, based off of their messages, reads either as English is not their first language or they're younger, and they place an order and then they just disappear. That does happen, and then you got to go through the whole NPD process. It's not super common, but as we've gotten bigger, it has happened more, and it's almost always international.
What I wish BrickLink would do is allow you to request an invoice, but again, when you request an invoice, you've agreed to place the order.
This is fake.
And pay for it.
There's no way this is not fake.
No, that's just the old Lego logo.
No. Look. One is upside down.
Yeah.
And look at the plastic.
You remember how... So some of them are like crooked, too. That's the old Lego stamps.
But, like, the plastic is just so...
I'm pretty confident that's
like
the old...
PVC.
You can toss it, but...
I mean, I have to because there's shoe marks on it, but...
It's the old Lego logo, and some of them are like crooked
yeah,
and
it
stuff
is patent pending.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure
okay, yeah, it's just ancient.
Yeah. It's very white for being that
yeah,
way.
that's what made me think it was fake.
What was I saying, though?
Sorry.
Oh, yeah. So I wish BrickLink would have a input your payment method and still request an invoice. So instead of me sending the invoice and them having to pay it then, after the fact, they put their stuff in, and then you then calculate the cost or whatever, and then they pay it with whatever info they had already put in, which is, I think, would then deter a ton of people from placing an order and thinking, oh, if it's an okay amount, then I'll pay it. Obviously, there's a downside to that as well, of course, but that would be nice, just because like it is a little inconvenient. People are able to place orders with just making an account. They don't need feedback. They can just sign up, and then there's no payment information needed. And you know that is a downside, but
Yeah.
it doesn't happen too often for us.
I try to be very cooperative with people. Usually, actually, I'm not going to say that. Usually, I'm not going to say that. But I try to be very cooperative with people and work with them if they're unable to pay.
Yeah, and if they communicate,
it's
not
better.
an issue. If they just
That's what I
us-
didn't want to say, because then people are going to assume that they can do it, just reach out to us and say never mind.
Oh.
Please don't do that, because then we will block you. But, you know, if someone places an order and they reach out and they say, hey, I didn't understand that this is what I was doing, you know, then I'm usually willing to reverse
Right, and
the
we
non-paying
won't
seller.
Well, we won't even issue a non-paying buyer for that.
Until, for that
If
we
they
won't.
reach out, it's not an issue. But the ones where,
They
and the
just
really
disappear.
frustrating ones are we invoice them, and then for a week, like we continue to send invoices, whatever, and then like, you know, honestly, it's never at the right time. It's like a few weeks later usually by the time we actually go through it. But then we file the non-paying buyer thing.
And then they immediately
Then
reach
they
out to us.
reply.
And they're like, hey, I'm so sorry. And it's never with, I'm so sorry, I'm willing to pay. It's, I'm so sorry, can you please cancel this order? Because the pieces are cheaper somewhere else. And at that point, it's like, no, I mean, depends on what they say. If they're very polite and they spin a whole, if they took time to write a book about their criminal backstory, then you know what, sure, fine. If you send me like a handwritten Batman comic of you placing this order and being the Joker, you know what, I'll let it go. But it's got to be good art. But otherwise, at that point, it's like I'm not going to respond to your emails. I'm just going to process the non-paying buyer, because you usually had 3 or 4 weeks and like 10 invoices sent at this point.
And not only that, also emails separate from the invoices, like
And
many
separate
things.
from the BrickLink messaging system too, because we can go read their
We
emails.
go through a
and
variety of things.
Yeah.
But that doesn't happen terribly often. That probably only happens
Once every
a few
couple
times
months.
a year.
Yeah.
Um,
But I remember them.
yeah, because they're so stupid. Like, okay, there's some chat we've missed now. 444 says probably 20% or so are new users that buy from me. We get a ton of people that are brand new that have no feedback. And I don't know what percentage of them are trying to do it to get one feedback so that they can start selling. But a lot of people do email us after we ship the order, and like we're not great at issuing feedback. I honestly do it like in big bulk amounts, like 2 times a month. I just find that easier than trying to keep up with it.
But
like
if you
every day.
email us, we usually will. Just
Yeah.
say please don't. There was an
no,
email
I'm
that
just-
came through which was like accusing us of like, you never issue feedback. Don't do that. Just say, hey, I'm trying to open a store.
Well,
I'm
we'll
about to
still
place an
issue
order.
feedback.
Yeah. Well, we'll still totally issue feedback if you send
It's
that.
just usually it's like I'd only do it twice a month. So there's a lot of people that reach out and they say like, "Hey, I'm trying to open a store. Do you think you could issue feedback because I got my order today and it was perfect?" And we always will and stuff. But so there are a lot of people for us that like that's why I don't want to check that box that says don't allow people with no feedback to buy.
Although there is an auto issue feedback thing now. There's a little button down at the bottom of the screen.
On Brick?
Yeah, on BrickLink.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh.
I haven't played with it though.
Oh, okay. We should do that.
Yeah. I just noticed it. I mean, it's probably been there for years, but I just noticed it. So
You mean the mass feedback?
no. I
Oh.
mean configure auto issue feedback.
Oh, great.
Yeah.
Life Bricks, welcome to the stream. Jan said, thanks, 50% was my goal. Yeah, I think 50% is reasonable. You'll just have to find the right buyer, but any more than that is asking for kind of a lot. Yeah, I'll dump in a second. Brian says, do you ever have dreams or nightmares about sorting Lego?
Sorting? No. Meh. I've never had nightmares about sorting Lego. I've had dreams about being in the store, and I have had nightmares about walking into the store and the pieces just being everywhere, falling off the wall. But that's more because so my bedroom is directly next to the garage. Not like it's in the garage, but there's a shared wall between the garage. And if it's very windy, I can hear like the wind buffeting the garage doors, And I'm always super paranoid when I hear like something loud, like, oh man, the door just swung open, because our lock is a little weird, and you have to slam, well, not slam, but you have to
like pull the door.
Put some heavy force into making sure that door is closed. And I'm always paranoid that the security is armed and the door is unlocked. In which case, if the door swings open and I don't hear that beep, 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 and dash in there as fast as I can to turn it off, then the police are going to show up. They're going to call me for like the security password. It happened once before. It was super embarrassing. I was in the shower. They took like hours to get here too. And this was after we gave the bad hostage password too, because we were confused and didn't understand what was happening.
Well, no, it wasn't a bad one. It just was, they called me and I was working.
Yeah.
And they're like, oh, your alarm's going off, whatever. And then I went to the app and I saw that nothing was wrong. But when they call you, you can't just say, oh yeah, everything's okay. You have to give them a special passcode that you set up, which I didn't realize there was a special one. So she was like, okay, what's the main passcode or main security thing? So I just gave her the number of what I type in, which is like, they call, I think it's called the main passcode. And she's like, okay, are you sure? And I said, yes. And then she's like, okay, thanks. And that was the end of the phone call. And it makes sense as to why that's the way it works, because theoretically if someone like breaks into your house or something and they're holding you hostage, you'd want to be like, oh yeah, here's the passcode, and then they wouldn't be like, that's wrong. Now you're trying to guess it and guess it and guess it. But apparently that meant that I gave the wrong one, so they still called the police.
It gives me like anxiety even now.
Yeah,
because
and
I was home.
Yeah, and Paul was home, of course. Yeah, and
the police show up. I take a minute to get to the door, and my dad, who happened to be here at the time, says that they showed up with like guns out, and I had to get them my ID, and then they didn't act like they were angry because they're going to be professional, but I could tell that they were ticked off that I wasted their time, right?
I mean, yeah, and then we got billed for it.
We got billed for it because we wasted their
Understandably.
time, and then we got issued a warning, and they're like, if it happens again, it's going to be way more money.
Yeah.
And so now, because of that, anytime I think I hear that beep, beep, beep.
Well, and don't worry, I now know the official,
Yeah.
actual code thing to talk to them on the phone if they call me again. Because after that happened, I was so confused. And then I had actually called the company, and I was like, what is this thing? And they're like, well, if you go into this setting, and this setting, and this other one, and this other one, this is an initial code that you set up when you made your account. And you can view it. I'm like, okay, great. That would have been better to know earlier, but now we know.
Yeah, it was... How did we get on that tangent? Oh,
the wind
dreaming
and
about
the
yes.
bad dreams.
So I have had multiple nightmares about that happening, but that's mostly because I'm hearing it as I'm falling asleep, and I fall asleep, and then it turns from being something where I'm thinking maybe there's a sound that I know there isn't, to now I'm just dreaming, and then it becomes something. So that's happened.
Well, and if I go in there, like when you're asleep or something, or I am in there when you're and you probably hear that beeping through the wall, because it beeps when you go in and you have to disarm it, or like when you leave, it beeps for like a minute. You have a minute to exit or something like that.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but it's not it's a screeching beep when the alarm's going off. We've set the alarm off a few times, but if you type in your passcode, you're fine. But if we're not here and we set it off, it's a very different experience.
The other thing is, it's connected to the garage door, so if the garage door opens, it'll trigger that too. I'm always so paranoid that somewhere another garage radio receiver is going to be found, because this is what caused it in the first place. Someone pressed the garage receiver, which happened to be buried at the bottom of a box, and opened the garage.
Right.
I'm not going to name any names here. It was unintentional, but that's how it happened the first time. And so now I'm just worried that like there's going to be another garage door opener somewhere.
Yeah. But I think we get like, not that it's good, but like the false alarm thing resets every year, I think, in terms of your count when you renew your permit. So technically,
we can do it again.
I think we can do it again without, I mean, we still pay for it, but it's not like the big fee where eventually they take away your permit. Because like I think after 3 false alarms in like a year or something, they take it away, which is fair. I'll agree with that. I'm sure there's exceptions, but for people just being dumb. That's a good one. Funber Creation says, I would say about 2/3 of my sales are people who have no feedback, plus 2/3. That's a lot. Plus I have a few different feedback sentences, which I use when I do it in bulk. Yeah, me too. So I say, like, if they have no feedback, I have a different message than if they have some feedback and they've ordered once from us. And if they've ordered multiple times from us, then I have a different message. So it just depends who they are and how often they've ordered from us, or if they have feedback on BrickLink at all. If it's 0 feedback, then I always say, welcome to BrickLink. I add that to the end of the message.
You're being a good citizen.
Yeah.
Would you like a turn in the fancy glasses? They make you
Nope.
They make you sort faster and be smarter.
Do they?
Yeah.
Well, I have my own glasses, so I don't think that'll work.
They'll cancel out.
Something tells me that it will make it slower for me.
They'll make it slower for you.
Yeah.
I think you need better glasses then.
Or you tell me wear both pairs
Yeah.
at the same time. What is everyone else doing right now? That's usually something we ask when we run out of things. And honestly, we made it a really long time before we ran out of things.
Because we had a story to tell.
Yeah.
Also, Chad kind of died, so.
Yeah.
Funber Creation says, I have had 183 sales since I opened in April 2020.
Cool. And 2/3 of those are 0 feedback? That can't be right.
Wow.
No, I don't believe you. Sorry. I think it's wrong.
Depends on what your prices are.
That's true. What?
Thunder Mifflin Bricko just noticed your hat.
Yeah.
One word is wrong, though.
One word's wrong. Oh.
That took you a while.
Because it's not paper. You should get a hat. That'd be cool. You should ship us a Thunder Mifflin Bricko hat. I'll wear that. That'd be great.
Are you going to return him with a running gear hat?
No. Sorry, but maybe we'll make just Brick in the Bucket hats at some point.
One day. We've
talked
wanted
about
to
it,
do
but-
merch so many times,
Yeah.
and then it just doesn't happen.
Would anyone be interested in any just Brick in the Bucket merchandise thing? That's the real question.
Yeah, would anyone buy it?
Yeah.
You have to commit credit card information now. Please, no, please do not post your credit card information in chat. I just feel like I need to say that. Funber Creation says he would buy merch.
Okay. We got one. How many do we need before we sell?
I would buy merch.
No, you don't count.
We gotta get the Paul water bottles.
Yeah. It should be a gallon though.
Yeah.
Yeah. No one would buy that ever.
Consolidator line of merch. There's a prerequisite for that, though. I just can't do these bricks, Evan.
I ripped a bag.
You ripped a bag?
Yep.
That's not very nice.
Nope.
We barely made a dent in this one.
What are you talking about? It's halfway empty. We're
Barely
halfway
dent.
through.
Barely dent. Bonkers says, I have had 72 sales since I opened January 1st of this year. About
That's very good.
25% had 0 feedback, and one had -1 feedback.
Ooh.
Can negative?
Yeah, so there is a setting if you want to not have that on BrickLink. I think it's in your store settings page under management, I think. There is a checkbox that you can say disallow orders for seller or for buyers with negative feedback or something like that. And so you can turn that off if you want. Obviously, if the order went through fine and it's all good, then, you know, it's good to have stores that still allow that, to let people
re-feedback their accounts.
Yeah, regenerate that feedback. But now it's a little weird why they maybe got there in the first place, unless they're a seller maybe. But then that's really weird too, I guess.
The thing is, it's honestly pretty hard to get negatives on BrickLink.
It is. It is.
So that's why I'm pretty averse to.
Yeah, we don't allow people with negative feedback to buy from us.
I'll be back in a moment.
Okay.
I need to blow my nose.
Okay. Goodbye. Thunderman Bricko says -1 feedback takes a talented individual. Yeah, that is true. Now we're getting a lot of chat. Now I gotta go back a little bit because I'm confused. Borkbork says, I must be doing better than I thought. I opened in July of 22 and have 204 sales. Yeah, I mean, in our first year, our first full year, when we opened in January of 2020, all the way to the end of December of 2020, we did, I think, about 600 sales in that year. Not that that's great or anything, but if you want to kind of base your sales off ours and like what number you're at, it obviously also really depends on how much like money and stuff you put into it, but and like 2020 was a year where we saw sales increase for, you know, reasons because people were at home and everything. Yeah. BJH9900 says, hey guys, not sure if I've been asked before, but I watch all of your videos and I've never seen it. Can you talk about your process of quality control and how and when you inspect used parts? Yeah, that's a great question. We should probably do a video on that. I feel like I should write that down. I'm going to write that down before I forget. I'm going to put it on my notes document of video ideas, just so I have it. But essentially, stand by. Used piece quality video. Every single step of the process, we are pulling out parts that are non-sellable. So even right now, this is B sort, but there's a big tote back here that we just, if you keep seeing us reach behind, we're throwing non-sellable pieces in there. But it starts from the very beginning when we get a box or whatever. You've added a character to your boxes. Nice. Now it's unbalanced though.
That's fine.
Okay. So from the very beginning when we start doing pull, which is us finding, like pouring out a bin and pulling out the expensive parts or the trash and stuff, that's the very first step of quality control. Any bricks that don't look like they're sellable, they're going to be too dirty to wash, they're really scratched, we pull that all out then. And then we actually, for our ace orders, once we give them a bin, we have a category that is dedicated to non-sellable parts. And this could be like trash pieces, it could be broken pieces, it could be pieces that are far too dirty to clean. Non-Lego things go in there.
This guy.
That guy would go in there because he's non-Lego, but that goes in that category, and I'd say primarily that's where the majority of non-sellable things get taken out, is the pull, which is right when we get it, and then the A sort. And then the B sorter also has a bag that they end with at the end, which is non-sellable. But like right now what we're doing, it's a lot less focused specifically on quality of pieces and more focused on the shape of each piece. But if we see chew marks and stuff on something, then it does not go in there, and that's why we keep reaching back and tossing it in this bin back here. Yeah, and then there's the cataloger, and the cataloger is the one who, like, if let's say we're doing tiles, you're gonna...
Non-sellable piece?
Yeah, non-sellable.
Perfect example.
Tiles are obviously gonna have like a little more look at than, say, maybe bricks, because bricks just naturally, you can kind of see without like having to flip it over and stuff. A tile, if it's upside down, you can't tell at all if it's a good condition. Bricks are like larger, I don't know the thing, but if that kind of makes sense. So catalogers is the quote-unquote last person in the process that really looks at them. But when we actually end up adding them to drawers, when we pour a bag in a drawer of something someone cataloged, we can generally see if like something doesn't look like it's right. And then obviously the very last thing is when we're picking and verifying at the end, and that goes out to the customer.
A lot of, not a majority, but not even close to a majority, but a lot of pieces do make it to the verification stage to then get pulled. It's almost always pieces that we know have a high likelihood of being wrong or being bad, and so, like for example, 1x1 tiles that are unprinted, white 1x1 tiles, right? Every time someone buys that, I have to go to the drawer and get a different one. But
Yeah.
certain things like that where it's not worth someone's time to inspect 6,000 of those that we're about to upload.
Yeah.
We weigh it and then we add. I mean, for 6,000, I would add like 100. But you know,
you'd remove 100 from the quantity. So if we have like a pile of 1,000 and it says we have 1,000, then we only upload 900.
Yeah.
And then we know we have a buffer in there for when someone orders all of them. We can then pull out the bad ones if no one ever orders all of them. But
well, what we can do then is if someone orders all of something, you've done this before with bricks, is if someone orders like 5,000 bricks or something, we will send what we know is more than 5,000, write them an email and say, hey, there's going to be something in here. But almost all the time, it's a few enough quantity that we can actually check on pick or check on verify, and then we just replace them with stuff from the buffer.
Yeah, and then there's obviously the level of like determining a level of this is a good enough quality to sell. And that's so hard because even Paul and I have it slightly, we're so much closer than we used to be. We have a slightly different determinants of like what is a good quality of something we will sell. But then occasionally we get the customers where we are so happy with the pieces they got, but they're not happy with the pieces they got. So it's like, okay, well, we just have to, take that person and call them just an outlier. Hi, Doug. Welcome. Call that person an outlier and say, this person was really specific and they should have just purchased new because they got a great condition pieces. So it's a hit and miss, and sometimes it's like we list a fig that says cracked torso or like scratch along the front, and people buy it and they're happy with it. So it's really weird. Like in terms of
the biggest, most annoying one, and our big gray area, and this is a big gray area, is we can't test all of them, the larger motors, robotics, more complicated things, because we just don't have the equipment to test all of it. And so what we do is we check to make sure the batteries aren't rotted. We pull the batteries out because they always come with batteries inside for some reason, right? If it's something that we can easily power it on, then we power it on. But we don't do exhaustive testing. And so what we do is we put in the comments, we say untested, sold as is, and people still email back and say, hey, I bought this, it doesn't work, can I get a refund? And that's where our big gray area is in terms of quality control, is like technically the customer's in the wrong there, even though the customer is always right, but technically the customer knew what they were buying. We explicitly said this piece may or may not work. It's sold as is, no refunds, right? So do what you think is right there. If you're trying to find policy for your own store, you can go ahead.
Sorry for the audio.
So basically, for the quality gray area that we still have really revolves around a lot of those electronics pieces. Like, should we actually be thoroughly vetting everything and then only selling ones that work? Or is it okay to be able to say, hey, this piece is untested, and then not issue a refund? The bad thing about BrickLink is BrickLink, the BrickLink administrators won't really enforce your terms, right? So if you say, hey, I don't issue refunds for this piece and I won't accept negative feedback for it, that doesn't mean anything. The person can still leave a negative and say, hey, this piece didn't work, I didn't like it, right? So there is kind of a risk area there. Bork says, it must be so time consuming selling used as well as new. I work by myself, but I only sell new and already have no spare time. Always picking, sorting, carting out, rearranging drawers.
Yeah, that's why
we do it full time.
That's why I also think I don't. That's why I think we haven't seen a ton of stores with millions of pieces that are doing both. Just because it's weird to have two completely different processes. I think you could do it, and that's the hope for us. We'll figure that out, but it does seem like it's really difficult to do both. We don't do one right now, we don't do both right now. We just do one. We just do used, and then new. Obviously, in the future, we'll hopefully be able to figure out how to go back into that. And when we were doing new, we did just new, and then we tried to start doing some used, but we weren't able to balance both, and we just had to switch over to used. So I don't know that you can find a balance. We'll see. Hopefully we can at some point, but yeah.
But I think really the big thing is how many staff you want to hire and whether the margins on new are good enough to hire staff to do it. Because theoretically speaking, you could basically have two businesses. I mean, one store, one legitimate business. But I mean, like one fulfillment, but two completely separate processes.
I think that's how it would have to be.
That don't touch. And then you're basically paying two businesses, right? And so I think maybe the big reason why we don't see this is not necessarily that it's not profitable, but just that the logistics overhead is just a lot to manage because the really big stores pay people to do it. I mean, there are some big stores where it's just, one dude, but I wouldn't want to do that, right? I would want to hire people, so.
Yeah, and we're hoping when we move out that we'll be able to figure out how to get back into both. It may not be instant when we move out, but we've talked about some strategies and stuff in terms of how we can get back into doing both, or how we could start doing both. We've actually never been doing both at the same time, so.
I mean, that depends on what you call both. We have targeted outsets while we were.
Yeah, but not not a very consistent, constantly adding new and constantly adding used. It's always like a tiny little switch of, hey, let's do new for one day.
Yeah.
And I don't think we added a new thing in.
Bygone Alley was the last, I think.
Yeah, and that was 2021, late in the year, I think 2021, I believe. Maybe I'm wrong on that, but I think it was early fall, late summer, somewhere in there.
Yeah, it was.
We had videos on that, so we could.
But then Jago City Gardens, was that after Bygone Alley?
I think that those were at very similar times.
Okay.
We actually had bags from both at the same time. We had parted them out. We were just uploading the colors at different times, so I'm not sure exactly what.
BTR.
BTR? I don't know which one was which, but.
Pep Kiwi says you logistically cannot run a store past a certain piece count by yourself. The constant need to upload to offset ones that sold is really time consuming.
Yeah.
I'm almost to the point where I need to hire, but I can maintain it alone for now. Yeah. That said, though, who is it that runs? Is it Pop's Block Shop?
Pops, yeah.
Is he just by himself?
Pretty much. I think his kids help him a little bit.
Okay.
But yeah, for the most part, he's by himself.
And his store's pretty big, right?
Yeah. I don't know what size it's at right now, but it's pretty good, yeah.
So
he does new and used. Actually, yeah, what size is his store? He focuses a lot on minifigs that go to eBay. So that's why he'll buy new sets and he'll pull the figs out of them and then part out the pieces.
Funberg Creation says, yeah, Pop's Block Shop just runs. He runs just himself, which is impressive.
Okay, so 559,000 parts, so right about where we're at, but 16,515 lots. So a little bit less, 20% less than us in terms of lot count, but
still, that's a lot.
Right there with piece, yeah, it's still a ton. And he's good at doing. I don't know. I haven't honestly watched his stuff in a little while, but for the longest time he was doing both, and I would imagine he's still kind of doing both. And he does run it mostly alone. Again, maybe there's been changes now, but
yeah, I couldn't imagine running a million-piece store. just as one person. I mean, maybe with only a couple watts, but still, it feels like if you were trying to do that used, it would be straight up impossible. I mean,
used would be incredibly hard, I think, to do 1 million pieces. New with 1 million parts alone, in my opinion, totally doable. Just because the quantity is so much easier than with just used.
And there's no quality verification.
Yeah.
And theoretically, for the most part, a drawer is fill it, forget it.
Yeah, and if you don't have other people working for you, your overhead in terms of staff management type things is 0.
Yeah.
You know, you're not worrying about how to deal with other people and all that kind of stuff. And whatever process you do, there's no need to write anything down or communicate with anyone, because if you do it a certain way, you know how to do it. So there is a lot of time saving in that, I think, in doing things alone. Where with multiple people, there's a lot to.
Did you hear that?
To kind of balance. I did.
Yeah, there's another bird in the house.
What?
And something fell down the chimney. At least it sounds like it, but I don't see any birds. I don't hear any birds.
No, I think that was banana.
It might be banana. I should get banana on the stream. Unfortunately, I don't think he would like these pieces, or he would like them too much.
Well, you can't get them out right now. Everything's blocking his tank.
There's a door on that side.
What?
I can move it on that side.
Oh, there's a light standing in the way. Okay. Lego Zoner, welcome to the stream. How are you? Follow up to the quality question. Do you stack and build pieces together as part of the quality control process? Some parts will have cracks that are near impossible to see unless they are built. Not trying to judge or criticize, just curious. No. We do not take any time to click it together. I do find a lot of cracks in like 1x1 bricks when you like look at them for a second. And again, if a customer ever reaches out and they're like, "Hey, a piece is damaged," we're gonna send them a new piece. No, pretty much no questions asked actually. A lot of
we
the
only
time,
ask questions if there's something about it that seems really fishy to us, and even then, we're not going to call someone out because the negative feedback policy, they could, you know, the BrickLink negative feedback policy is so forgiving towards the buyer that even if we are being scammed, unless it's for like a lot of money, you know, what are you going to do?
Yeah, so we don't really do that. With minifigs, you know, we check if the arm is really loose, that'll be listed, or we'll try to swap the arm or see if there's something there. So the higher value parts, while we don't directly like really check it by clicking new arms in and all these things, we feel for it and do list it. But pieces, no. But most of the time, that is something that is actually found on pick. Or on verification after it's been picked.
Hello again, Doug. I'm sorry for your complications.
Oh no. He's here.
He started the stream, waved, wondered why we weren't talking, realized he was at the beginning of the stream.
Oh, really? Interesting. Yeah, Pup says, I'm talking about piece counts above pops. Yeah, that makes sense. He also does new, which is less time consuming than new. Doesn't he do both, though? I thought he did both. Pop's Block Shop has been working through a huge backlog of used sets, which gives him old manufacturing. Okay, yeah, that's what I thought. Doing well, or doing good. You? We are doing fine. Fine? Are we doing good? Fine? Great? Terrible? I don't know.
Well.
How are you doing? We're doing well. Okay. Humber Creek says, while I remember, have a good stream next month, as I won't be able to watch one on the first weekend. Well, we might not do one. Who knows? It's really hit and miss.
Our schedules are just so hectic now. It's really hard. We're trying to do some shorts occasionally, so that's our content now. And the podcasts.
Yeah, I think we really enjoy doing the Brickside Chat podcasts. So that's kind of going to be a focus in terms of like pretty regular.
I'm going to need you to...
Yeah, I'll deal with that. We have one coming out today actually at 4 o'clock p.m., which is in 20 minutes. So that'll be out.
So we
want
want to be done with the stream by then.
Yeah, so we'll finish our stream.
Unless we want to watch our own content and rate it as we go.
No. But yeah, so that comes out. I think it's to a lot of people pretty helpful. It's got a lot of information in it. And you know, it's not that I listen to or watch our own stuff, but like
You edit it.
Well, I edit it, of course, but it's the kind of content I enjoy, where I can put it if I'm driving somewhere for 45 minutes, I can put it on in the car and listen to it. Not that everyone else likes that though, but I like making the content that theoretically I enjoy too. And I love YouTube Shorts. They're just kind of hard to make. Like, they're not that challenging. I guess it's coming up with the idea and like. That's the hard part. That's also, mostly what it is.
There's the thing. We try to produce things that are, I don't want to say quality content, but everything we do is staged. In fact, this live stream is actually not live. This is all AI generated now. No. But the shorts and stuff, we script them, and then we record them, and then we don't just upload them. We then port them over to Adobe or DaVinci and edit them. Right, and then send them back to the phone and upload them. So there is some time sink that goes into the shorts, but they're monetizable now. So, Doug, you've got a fan in the chat. Oh, he just noticed that. Southwest Bricks, hello, says, so great to see you all doing what you do best. Thank you. Although, unfortunately, this is not what we do best. We have people that do it better.
That's true. That is true.
That has been something. As we've hired people, at least me personally, I've started to realize how not great I am at some things. Has that happened to you at all?
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, you hire people who are more specialized in something than you, and that's... Yeah. Yeah, like in terms of cataloging, our main cataloger is our best, is like the best cataloger that works for us, including us, I think.
Oh, totally.
She's great, so...
I still can't. 44 hours of labor to do 2 full bins of decorated parts. Catalog and bag.
And well, just the sorting of that.
Yeah,
that wasn't even sorted. That's why it's like,
we just gave her 2 20 to 2 12-pound, 2
12-gallon, 20-pound.
Yes, bins of just miscellaneous decorated parts, not separated at all. 44 hours to get all of that into BSXs, individually bagged, labeled, and ready to go on the wall. It's just mind-blowing to me. Dave is going to drop in the chat and be like, I can do it in 5.
Yeah, I'm sure he can. But, like, for us, that's great.
Man, you guys only process 40 pounds of decorated in a day?
Have you ever done a rough guesstimate on your hourly wage based on your profits? I'm constantly questioning my decision to do this. Yeah, so Adam, I think... Well... Your glasses falling apart?
My glasses falling apart.
I think we are also constantly questioning doing this too. Mostly because it's like the minute you think you made money,
it gets spent.
All of a sudden it has to go somewhere.
There are no profits would be the best way to...
Right. It's like so...
Now here's the very important thing, because someone's going to say, then why do you do this? We are expanding... The business grows month over month, like
yeah, technically in terms
percentile. So, if we were to just immediately stop adding things,
stop growing,
and just stay at our current size, and stop investing all of this money into additional people, you know, growing a backlog, which we don't necessarily want, but saving up to move out, other projects, YouTube, right? There would be way more cash for Evan and I. But honestly, I'd rather make $100K in a couple years than like $1,000 a month now. So that's kind of our mindset. Not that I'm going to be making $100K in a couple of years, but it's that's the dream.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So profit wise, we're in that same boat of like this constant question. We, I think, understand that. At the scale we're at now, sure. If Paul and I if you and I wanted this to be our job only, and we said no to the contractors and it was just you and I, we could probably do it. If we stopped expanding, we could probably maintain, and we would make a fair enough living.
Yeah.
But to see the business grow, one, that's, I think, for sure my opinion of this is like that's part of the fun, is growing it as big as you can. But also, the more you grow, even if your profit percentage maintains the same, the more money is then brought in. So we're constantly reinvesting legitimately every single penny right back into various projects and things, and
technically speaking, we do receive a paycheck.
Yeah, I mean, we do. But we are also employees of the company.
Yeah, so we
the
don't
way
receive
we're set, so we don't just so that is a paycheck to us. But in terms of like we spend every dollar, because the hope would be that if this becomes a bigger company, then Paul and I can make a sizable living and give all these other people sizable living or fair livings or whatever too. I think, and someone commented this on, I think it was our last Brickside Chat podcast, where we had talked about you can have a business and you can run it alone or something, and you essentially pay yourself, but your business isn't super profitable, but you make a fine living. You have a job now, and you just happen to work for yourself, but it's a job. Versus you have a business, which is much bigger and it pays a lot of other people, and you make money on it as well. Our goal is to have a decent size, I don't want to say large because that's not the goal. We'll say small to mid-sized business at the end of the day here, versus like we want a job where we just, the business makes a couple $100,000 a year and we make sizable paychecks and that's all we do, and it's just you and I. We have a much bigger picture. So if you don't have the intention of growing really, really big, I'd say it's a little harder to keep pushing and viewing that vision of like this can be better and it will be better as we just keep growing, and we see that there is money. We're just spending it on things to help the future be even better and better and better.
And there are definitely moments where it is very disheartening. I mean, I have this all the time where it's like it just feels wrong that every month at the end of the month there's nothing left over, because you're thinking like this is a business, it's supposed to profit, it's supposed to generate additional. But then when you actually sit down and do your budget, right, and you actually look at where all the money is going, you do actually see that you are spending more money every month, which might sound bad, but when you really think about it and you say, hey, I'm spending more money every month and not going into debt doing it, then that means there is more money that's, coming into existence, right? So that's not exactly how it works, but there are definitely moments where it's like I feel like 3 years in, if I had gone to gone to a trade school, right, for 3 years, I would be doing way better than I am now. But the idea is it's a long-term growth,
And it's enjoyable too. It's fun to see it grow. To an extent, to me, and this is probably a very bad way to look at it, but growing the business is like a hobby in a way. Obviously, it's a business, so it's more than a hobby. But like the growing of the business is my fun. And I know that also sounds crazy, but like legitimately, that is I love it. Like I really love it. I love trying to grow it and finding all these new directions we can take things, and obviously we haven't really gone anywhere right now. Like we're sizably growing in terms of piece sales and stuff, but we haven't actually like really done anything crazy. But it's still really, really fun to just grow the business.
Everyone wants to open his cabinet shop.
Oh right,
that's what this is really for.
My cabinet store.
If you follow along with the Brickside Chat,
I'll build custom macro mills and I'll sell them to the business. That's
profitable.
Yeah.
If you follow along with the deep Brickside Chat lore over the next couple of years, if you stay tuned, you'll be able to follow the evolution of Evan's theoretical cabinet shop, which is the example we use for all of the businesses.
And it's really not a great example. It doesn't fit most of the time because the little cabinet.
We find a way.
Yeah, we make it fit. Okay, I'm gonna go back to chat here for a moment because okay, backing it up.
He just doesn't want to give out his cabinet secrets.
I can't do that. We're not there yet. Kyrian says, love watching BrickLink sorting videos and BrickLinking videos. Low-key get really excited when I saw this live was happening. Or low-key got really excited. Awesome. That's good. That's good. That makes it all worth it. Because Paul and I at the beginning of this were like so tired and we're just like, oh, do we have to do this? And like we don't, because we didn't tell anyone we were doing it, but we had to do it because we put it on our calendar.
That's why we don't tell anyone anything anymore.
Yeah. No, but that's good that people appreciate this and watch it and like it and stuff. Work says some YouTubers make it look easy running a store, so I just randomly parted out 200 sets before I opened my store, and I was surprised how it's my whole life now.
200 I'm gonna hope that that's an exaggeration, but you know, if you actually bought,
I'm sure it wasn't 200
sets,
the same set.
Yeah, that's.
But yeah,
well, I guess okay. Before you open, that's actually not that abnormal. Just because that means that there might have been multiple purchases made over a long period of time, and it built up.
I mean, I'm sure we parted out 200 sets in the first month and a half, 2 months. To be honest with you, all of January. Remember all that clearance we got right after the haul? Like and a lot of them were small sets, but we'd buy 20 of them.
Yeah, you're right.
So
yeah.
I'm sure, unless it's like 200 Diagon Alley size sets. In which case, that'd be insane.
In which case, you should have just purchased an entire ready-made used pipeline.
Right. I don't know. Borpork says some YouTubers make it look easy running a store. Do you count us as some YouTubers, or are we transparent enough that you understand it's not like a simple?
I think. I know what we're doing for April Fools. You remember the knowledge. I'm in my garage with my Lamborghini. I know what we're gonna do. We're gonna show the real life of BrickLink YouTubers.
Okay, this can be fun. You have to write it though.
Yeah.
I'm gonna put this out there too.
No, please.
There is something incredibly special coming this holiday season. That's all I can say. Okay, actually, there might be something incredibly special.
There you go.
Because Paul has to do it, and we'll see if it happens, and I hope it does happen.
I haven't been involved, though.
Oh, yeah, of course. But Paul has to organize it and kind of be in charge of it. But I hope it happens. But you guys...
Let's just say, it was after we were inspired by the amazing Oscar-worthy Spirited the Musical.
Is that what made us do it?
Yes! We were like, we need to make this.
Yeah, no, that's not happening. Okay, back to chat. Fiber Creation says, my dream YouTube channel is to make a profit and BrickLink become profitable so I can have these two fun things as my job. Yep, that's the dream. Adam says, thanks for the response. I have another business that my team runs that allows for me to run a store full-time. There's no way I could do this full-time and depend on it for a living. Yeah, totally. Like, I still work full-time out of here, too. And then I try to do full-time hours in here as well, but, you know, it is exhausting. It's a lot. But, again, this is growing this business is my quote-unquote hobby, if you want to call it that. Like, this is what like, when people ask, oh, what do you do for fun? Quite legitimately. Like, I was talking with my boss, this is a few months ago, probably in, like,
is this when he found out?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I hadn't told my boss just because it never came up in conversation or anything, and I really wasn't sharing it with people because like
it's a little weird.
It's a little funky, yeah. And then there's like a lot to explain. And
well,
stuff,
it's also like I do a lot of server engineering and system administration as my hobby, and when people come over and they see me in my server closet with terminal pulled open. And like when Blake came over, they're like, "What are you doing, Paul? Who are you hacking?" I'm like, "Nothing. I'm just fixing the internet," because that's easier to say.
Yeah. So like, I talked to my boss about it. And like, we went to lunch one day, and he's like, "So like, what do you do outside of working?" And I'm like, "Well, I honestly work a lot." And I'm like, I guess another work I have that I enjoy and do is like this side business my roommate and I have. And I explained it, and he was like, "Oh, whoa, that's so cool." And like, he's seen it all and stuff now and everything, but this is like actually growing. This is it's currently my hobby, so that's cool. Or my
even though we've given all these speeches about don't make business, don't.
I know. This is so different. This is a stream. It doesn't count.
Well, also
anything we say on stream doesn't. Remember, anything we say on stream is not binding.
It's I wish you could put a pop-up that people have to agree to before this.
When they watch it. So.
I forgot what I was going to say now.
What?
I just forgot what I was going to say. Man, how do you wear glasses? Well, I guess yours probably fit. Wear glasses without getting a headache. Yours fit.
Yeah, mine fit. They're for me.
I'm going to take these off. Sorry, chat, but I'm starting to get a headache here from the pressure. I was going to say something important stuff.
Sorry, I'm going to pour.
Yeah, go ahead. Is that all of it?
There's one more bin.
There's one more bin?
One more bin.
We're not going to be done.
Well, we're almost done.
Yeah, but we need to clean this up so I can shoot our next video. So don't start the next bin. Unless now,
well,
that's just... Unless maybe I should just make that my...
You have to take half
vote,
of it.
Vote, chat.
No, you already
Should
have
I make interesting content? Or should I make this content?
You already had a video plan.
Yeah, but they don't know that.
I know that. Henry says, do you guys pay for B-sort? We do. So we pay for every step of the process. So we pay to get the pieces to us. Technically, we are paid to pull. We pay someone to A-sort, and then it comes back, and then we pay someone to B-sort, and it comes back, and then we pay someone to catalog, and it comes back, and then we add it, and then it gets picked, and then we ship it, and we pay to ship it. I mean, we ship it, but like, we pay $2 or whatever, $3, $4, $5, $7, $10 per label.
And we ship it because I don't trust someone else not to be in an accident and make an insurance claim.
Oh yeah, we physically drive it to the post office. But yeah, we pay. And KEP 89, we don't disclose how much we pay, just because it depends on the contractors that are doing it.
I'm trying to understand this comment. Southwest Bricks UK, maybe you can provide some additional explanation. I'm sorry, but I don't understand a word here. The population of the US is about 40 times bigger than the UK. With this in mind, for every 40 pounds you received, we get 1 pound. Thoughts? I'm trying to ask, is this a proposition where we share our money with you because you're less fortunate in the amount of people you have?
Is this pounds as in money or pounds as in pounds of Lego?
The unit of monetary measurement used by the British government.
Huh. I think what they're saying is per order. Like if we get if we get 40 orders, do they get 1 in terms of dollar value of orders?
No.
No, that's not that's not parallel whatsoever.
Definitely
maybe
not.
If you only sold in the US and you only sold in the UK, I'm sure it's still not 40 to 1. Guarantee it's not, but
the US sellers definitely do get more sales though.
Yeah.
But
also if you ship other places like the EU and stuff, then it's a vastly open. It's very different than just saying you only ship within the UK. Kep says, do you pay per pound? I'm looking for a sorter, possibly just wondering what others pay. So we pay per bin. Of what it is, but that has been factored, like the way we broke down that cost is per pound. So each category has a separate cost per bin. So A sorting is just, all the bins are quote unquote the same, obviously it's different pieces, but every single bin is a flat rate for that bin. And then for B sorting, every single bin is a flat rate per category. And we've factored in like, okay, well we only fill this bin up halfway, and that's roughly this amount of pounds and whatever. And that's kind of how we determined what we pay. The contractors have access to this sheet. They can see per pound what it is, but all they care about is that they're making $120 for this bin versus this other category where they make $250 for this bin or whatever it might be.
Also, there are some exceptions here. There are a couple categories where we sometimes pay per hour.
Oh, right.
Decorated, we do pay per hour because otherwise it would be too expensive. So, and it would either be too expensive or not worth it for them. So we've kind of found this happy middle ground.
Yeah, ideally, hourly is what we would pay for everything.
But until we move everyone in-house, which is the goal is to eventually take people with maybe one exception and move everyone in-house. So that way we have a bit more control, and also we can theoretically pay them more, in terms of hourly, because we're sure that they're actually working.
Yeah, obviously though they have that now they can't work at home whenever they want and stuff. So there's give and take to that for sure. But yeah, and then for catalogers we pay a percentage of the value of what they catalog, which is a little funky, but generally, for the most part, that lines up with the stuff that's worth more usually takes a little bit longer to catalog, and once they do a few bins, it has all evened out to making sense and stuff. Obviously, if someone only wanted to do the really easy bins that are high value, then that's easier and they can make more money, but we kind of force a little bit of a rotation. Unless they don't want to do anything, I guess. They could do nothing, but then they're not making any money. But we do pay a percentage on that, which is that's a hard one to calculate, and we still fluctuate on that, I think, a little bit, depending on what the category is and stuff.
The other thing is we work with our catalogers and our B sorters and our A sorters, where if someone comes up to and says, hey, this particular bin was just awful, right? Then, we're willing to give bonuses and stuff based off of input from trusted catalogers. Obviously, if someone just shows up, it's kind of a little sketchy, and they say, hey, I want $300 extra for this, that's going to be a little bit of an issue. But, for reliable people who we trust, we can be flexible on rates, so there is that too. We also have an incentive program for finishing things quickly. So that also gets factored in. If they finish it within what we have basically said is our par time, so what we expect someone to be able to do it in, then they get a different rate than if they take forever, because we don't want bins just out in the wild for months and months.
Right. Charlie says, I have a smaller store and I'm wondering how I should grow. We got this question earlier. I don't know if it was you, but essentially our answer was really adding parts to your inventory. Lot counts, diversity within your inventory is really, really important. So I know it's a frustrating answer, and obviously we were searching for this answer for a very long time too, and if you go back way to our videos from 3 years ago at the start, our answer would have been piece count. But we've kind of learned it's more based on lot count and diversity within your store. Obviously you need the right quantity of stuff, but if you have a high lot count, the likelihood is that you will have a higher piece count as well, just because naturally those go up together, unless you literally only have one piece of each lot, which would be a little weird. But diversity within your store is going to help you grow. And if you want, you can go do some research on pieces to see what, BrickLink has a top 10 selling or top 50 or something like that, where you can see what pieces have been selling really well. And if you're buying new sets, you can sort of base that into the factor of buying the new sets. Obviously that does take a lot of time. It's pretty heavy in terms of, that ratio of oh, I could be parting this set out if I wasn't debating if I should buy this other set. So you have to figure that out, which is kind of a hard one. Kep says, I saw in your reel you had a sheet with categories. Where did you get that sheet and how could I get it? So we made that sheet. So we kind of built our categories a little bit off of Chris from the Great Brick Lab, his categories, and a mixture of David West, his categories from DNA Bricks. And then we kind of modified that sheet to be specific to us. And then we went and found the pictures on BrickLink and stuff, and made that sheet for us so that we were able to hand that out to the A sorters and kind of train them with it. And our best A sorters now, I don't even know if she doesn't even use the sheet, I'm sure. Actually, I know she doesn't use the sheet. She just, there's rules with each category, and you kind of, once you learn the rule, you understand what pieces go where. There are some weird ones where a couple pieces kind of go in two places because they fit into two categories, but then we just have to determine which one they actually go in. And then as long as everyone's consistent, it's not really an issue. We currently have not distributed that sheet. Technically, if you want to go watch the short and you can pause it, you can kind of see the sheet, but we have not officially released that as a thing that we've posted anywhere that people can download. Not that it's really important. Essentially, I can list them off for you. It's large bricks, medium bricks, small bricks. And then we have large modified bricks and small modified bricks. And then we have extra large plates, medium plates, small plates, modified plates. And then we have large tiles, medium tiles, small tiles, modified tiles, large slopes, small slopes, Technic, which is like general Technic, and then basic Technic, which is pins and axles, decorated, containers, minifig parts, and non-sellable. I believe that's it. I think that was all 24 of them. Kind of surprised I was able to do that.
Did you include containers?
Yep, containers was in there. We also kind of have a windshield category. We've been filling up a bin of windshield. Oh, and Duplo gets bagged separate now as well. Those are unofficial categories, but we just decided we should pull those out. We try to pull out that stuff, though, during the pull. It's not like an official category that an A sorter does. Because we have a bin of Duplo that kind of fills up and stuff. Yeah.
It's kind of flexible.
Yeah, it's pretty flexible. The key here really is consistency. And if you make a change, what?
It's kind of flexible. The key here is consistency.
No. I mean consistency in what you're putting where. And if a change is made, that you just stay consistent with that. Versus, like, we're flexible with adding new categories and fluctuating things. Is that what you meant by flexible?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, that's what I meant too. But consistency, like in terms of if you decide this piece goes somewhere, just try to put it there. Technically, if you want to put a Technic pin in the modified tiles category, it doesn't matter. You can do that as long as you're consistent. They're always going there.
The issue with that is if your categories aren't logical, it means that A sorters need to memorize more.
Oh, no, of course. I'm just saying, theoretically, if every A sorter communicated and they all were like in agreement, hey, Technic pins now go in this one. Doesn't matter, as long as everyone's on the same page. But yeah, technically we haven't released that sheet officially. Charlie says, how many orders are you getting each day? We are averaging about 10 to 12 orders a day. It is not like for like every single day we know we have 10. And every, it's like some days we only have 5, or
some days we have 25.
Yeah, so it's an average of 10 to 12. It fluctuates month to month too. That's not a consistent number whatsoever.
Yeah, every word I tried to start there was the wrong word. Weekends.
Oh my god.
Are the best. Are where we get the bulk of our orders. Yeah, is definitely true. Coming at Monday is kind of our rush day, because we don't work Sunday usually, or if we do, we just kind of come in, do some random stuff, goof around a little, right? Sundays are kind of a lax day if we come in at all. I personally view it as I'm in. But then Monday is usually where, if there's any day that's going to be an early start, it's a Monday. If there's any day that's going to be a late clock out, it's a Monday. Because all of the orders that have come in over the weekend, even if we fulfill on Saturday, which sometimes we do, if we get 20 orders out on Saturday, there's going to be 25. I don't think there's usually 30, but...
Yeah, in Friday, Saturday, Sunday, those 3 days of the week, we usually make more than we do in the other 4 days of the week in terms of money and in order count. And obviously, 2 of those days then usually get fulfilled on that Monday, which is why it's hard. Not even hard, necessarily, just takes a lot more time.
Yeah.
So like Mondays are not a great day usually for adding parts, just because it's all hands on deck usually when it comes to order fulfillment.
Thursday, Friday. Well, Evan's usually out on Fridays, so I verify a lot on Fridays. But usually, I guess, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are the big part adding days, because I can basically just sit down from 7 a.m. when I clock in until 5:30 or 6 when I clock out, and just add pieces the entire day, do reassignment, do only tasks that contribute to me adding pieces. But trying to add, or Sundays, if I go in on a Sunday or a Saturday, but trying to add on a Monday and a Friday is usually really tough. Cap89 says, very good work on the sheet. I missed the vlogs. Yeah, the vlogs are really hard.
Yeah, I like the concept of the vlogs.
So do I.
What got really difficult is like
nothing happens in the
we
store.
do the same thing every week. Like, sure, there's changes.
And the other issue is a lot of the changes. I mean, as we've grown, there's become more I guess, protected IP, strategies and stuff that maybe we share eventually. But for at least a couple of months, we kind of keep close while we're figuring stuff out. And so as we've grown, anything, not that we're trying to hide stuff, but the interesting things are more on a semi-monthly release. We're in a stream or on a podcast. We just say, hey, this is something we've been trying, right? And we don't necessarily want it to be public until then. So it's just mostly a lot of doing the exact same thing every single day. Or meetings. And I'm sorry, but we're not going to record our meetings. Because going through
that
them...
would be so boring.
Well, that and going through them and censoring out everything and cutting everything, right? I would have to watch 2 hours of the meeting, and then I'd have to just make sure that the clip I'm using really is safe to post. So it's the vlogs are really hard. I think, though, that we're both in agreement that eventually the vlogs will return.
Yeah, I would love to have them return.
We like them. The viewers really like them. It's
And-
just making them right now, and the way that we're growing and with what we're doing in the company, trying to rapidly grow, it's really, really hard.
Yeah. It also is time consuming because, you get in the morning and you have to think, I need to shoot a vlog to start the day. And it is weird when you just start, we've done it, obviously. We start in the middle of the day, and it's like, oh, welcome to Monday. We picked all the orders already, and I'm about to clock out. It just became such an afterthought where...
There's also all the times where it's like, oh, it's Tuesday, but I need to shoot Monday. I gotta go change my shirt. Right? So...
Yeah, but no, I totally want to bring the vlogs back when we can. We also have talked about, trying to find a media person or something.
We can't afford one right now. But if you are a media person, you're interested in maybe 6 months to a year being considered, you can't... I don't have any issue with people emailing us. Just understand that it's future.
Yeah, and mostly for the concept of being able to just structure the upload schedule and facilitating the resources that we need to get together to create a video or a podcast or whatever, and then the post-production.
Yeah,
that's what kills
the awful part.
Is
Evan
is
and I
the post.
hate post.
It takes I edit 99% of the videos that I think we've uploaded. And it just feels so there's no productivity happening in that time. So that's why
and it takes hours.
The vlogs, the vlogs are easy. Really easy. Because it's you shoot stuff and you just put it on a timeline and you trim all the edges and you're good. You fade in, fade out, maybe you put an end screen and that's it. What got hard with it is initially the vlogs were shot on a phone. And then we switched to a camera, and the camera's much better because we can just keep the SD card in there the entire week, and then at the end of the week we pull out that SD card, put a different one in, and this is vlog for week whatever, and we can just transfer that in its own thing, and we can start immediately. The phone was hard because Paul has his phone, I have my phone. We'd have to get the footage to each other or put it on a local server where we can edit off of and stuff, and that got difficult. But with the camera, the audio's not as good when you turn it around. So the vlogs got more difficult to edit because it's we would hold it here and shoot ourselves, and it would sound totally great. And then we'd show you what we're doing, and we'd turn around, and now the camera's a lot closer to our face, and we're talking at the same volume, and where the microphones are on the camera are backward, so now you're peaking. Yeah. And in that same clip, you have to now cut where that is in that audio and lower the tracks, and it just became a whole problem with the post-production.
You have to lapel up and have this wireless on,
right.
And then that adds 5 minutes to trying to get ready to shoot something.
Yeah.
So,
but if we had someone who could who was dedicated to doing all that post, not even shoot the vlogs, we could shoot them. But the tediousness of adjusting all the audio and making sure there's nothing in the background that we don't want to show, all those things, if we had someone that could do that and just edit the podcast. I will get your question. You can continue though. That'd be great. If we could do all that. So that's the plan at some point, is someone who's dedicated to the media side of what we do.
Evan and I can basically show up, be the personality, shoot, and then get back to work.
Yeah.
Is kind of the idea.
Yeah. A little more than that, obviously. We'll come up with concepts too, but that's the hope, and I would love for that to happen in 2023. We'll have to see where we're at, because that's not until after we move out.
Yeah.
And that will happen in 23. If it doesn't, we will no longer be
a business.
That's kind of where we're at. We either move out or we are done. So,
okay, I'm gonna answer your question. You have asked it a couple times. I had wrote a question earlier in chat. What do you do with the parts that you can't find in Brickstore, BrickLink, and are unable to add to the inventory? Depends on how long I've been trying. If it's a fig, max is 10 minutes, and that's if I really feel that it's worth it. For a piece, max is 5 minutes, and that's if I really feel it's worth it. If it's something that I'm pretty sure is worthless, after 2 minutes or less of trying to find this, because the thing is, 2 minutes is usually I'm standing there staring at it. Within the first 30 seconds, I've tried every keyword that I could think of. The remaining minute and 30 seconds is staring at it. Or going on BrickLink, or using Google Lens, right? So Google Lens is another thing you can use. BrickLink, right? If you can't find that.
I mean, it's also possible it's just not on BrickLink.
Yes, it's also possible it's just not on BrickLink. I toss it back in a sort or in the category that it came from. Let it go through the cycle again. Technically, yes, that costs money, but there's a good chance that by the next time I get it, I'll know what it is, or it will be on BrickLink.
Or someone else will get it and they'll find out what it is or something.
So usually it just goes back in the pile.
I don't think there's a whole lot of pieces that are not
On
able
BrickLink?
to be added to the inventory, though.
Majority of things. There's a couple. I ran into this problem. So there is a legitimate Bricktober printed piece. Not all the years are on there, and there's no generic. Like for some of the randomized license plates, there's a generic where it's like MX dash number.
Mm-hmm.
For some of the Bricktober special pieces, they are completely legitimate. You can find them on eBay, and there are other ones that exist. But some of the years just don't exist. So I just toss them back and decorate it, and they'll come back through.
Yeah, and technically you can add pieces to BrickLink and submit it as a thing, but some people just, theoretically, if we can't find it, we toss it back in A-sort. It takes a few weeks, a couple months to get back to Paul or whatever. Someone else might have added it to BrickLink. We should really be adding it to it as the community, growing that catalog of all their items, but it just... Financially, it's a hard thing. It's theoretically someone else will add it, and then maybe we'll find it then. But you can add things to the BrickLink catalog. You just submit. So we've done it a couple times. We've made a few changes and submitted pictures and photos for things that like some pieces don't come often and they don't have a picture or whatever. So you can do that and you can support the catalog. But yeah,
you can get listed on the catalog contributions section. So that is generally what we do. But now with BrickLink, I think it's a lot easier to go ahead and get the to figure out what pieces are. Like I said, I haven't used it.
Yeah. Brandon says, I have a question. My BrickLink and BrickOwl stores never sync right, and I use BrickPacker. Do you guys have that problem? So
use Brick Freedom.
We use Brick Freedom. We had BrickPacker in 2020. I don't even know at this point. We did have a couple issues, which is part of the actually, that is the reason we stopped selling on BrickOwl for a period of time. And then Brick Freedom came out, I think, in the summer of 2020, somewhere around there. And then we hopped on there. But we have had problems with BrickPacker. To be totally honest with you, I don't have a ton of knowledge on it. I mentioned it a few months ago on a stream, I think, and apparently you can make pick sheets on there, which I didn't know. So
I think we were.
So I don't even think we were. Yeah, you can't even ask me about BrickPacker. We did make a video on it on how to set it up and stuff. I don't know exactly how it works or if it's even still supported and stuff. But we have had issues in the past with it. Not to say it's a bad product or anything, but to be totally honest with you, I can't really speak on it anymore just because we haven't used it in like 2.5 years. So I'm not entirely sure. Would you recommend Brick Freedom? Yeah, absolutely. Super easy. You know, it's seamless. It creates the multi-order pick sheets, which again, technically I guess BrickPacker does as well.
Steve is a great guy.
Yeah, makes it super easy to pick all your orders and stuff. And then I don't think we've had a couple real little syncing issues, I think.
But it's always been the pieces mismatched, like in terms of some super obscure decorated piece.
Yeah, we've had some IDs that were something on BrickLink and they were a different piece on BrickOwl. But for the most part, it's been great. You know, there's nothing really that...
Yeah.
I don't know.
I think we're also probably getting pretty close to wrapping it up here.
We are, yes. I actually need to leave, so we really have to.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and if you guys are interested, the latest Brickside Chat podcast just came out.
Funbic Creations asks, is it worth looking into Brick Freedom even for tiny stores?
They have a free tier.
Yes, they do. That's what I was about to say.
So if you don't even want to sync between stores, I think Doug uses this. So he'd be a great person to ask if you need more info in terms of like what exactly you get with the free tier of Brick Freedom. But yeah, he uses the free one, I believe. To my knowledge, he's not syncing, but you can still, I know you can pick orders and stuff like that. And yeah, I'd say go for it if it costs nothing, of course.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is vastly better than using the BrickLink.
Yeah. Brandon says, I started my store because of your channel. Thank you so much for your great content. It's Brandon's Brick Lot. Very cool.
Good luck, Brandon.
Yeah, good luck with your store. And thank you to everyone who was watching. We appreciate it. And I think we're going to wrap it up, though, because I really have to.
We may see you next month.
Yeah, hopefully we'll do this again at the beginning of April.
See?
We'll see.
Are you going to be back later?
Today?
Yeah.
Later.
Later?
Like 10, 11.
All right.
Okay. Goodbye, everyone. Thanks
Bye.
for watching. Have a great evening, morning, whatever it is, wherever you are.